headlines of VTV News. Our latest updates on Prime Minister Pham Minh Ching's activities in India. 4 new laws to take effect from August the 1st. And later on in our world news, Middle East on a knife edge after assassination of Hamas leader in Iran.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello and welcome to this edition of VTV News, coming live to you from Hanoi. You're with me, Lina Pham, and here's the top news of the hour. Prime Minister Pham Minh Ching received Indian Minister of External Affairs, and at the meeting, Prime Minister Pham Minh Ching thanked Indian Minister of External Affairs Subrahmanyanam Jaishankar for his condolences on Party General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng passing. Indian Minister of External Affairs affirmed that the Indian government attached a great importance to the upcoming state visit of Prime Minister Pham Minh Ching, expressing confidence that the visit would strongly enhance the bilateral relationship. The Prime Minister suggested increasing the exchange of high-level delegations and interactions at all levels, promoting local cooperation and fostering people-to-people exchanges. During the state visit to India on Wednesday afternoon, while attending the VietnamIndia Business Forum, Prime Minister Pham Minh Ching emphasized the spirit of cooperation between the two countries. He enunciated the motto, listening and understanding together, sharing vision and action together, working together, enjoying together, winning together, and developing together.
At the forum, the Minister of Commerce and Industry of India, Director General of the Confederation of Indian Industry, Shri Piyush Goyal, and representatives from Indian businesses praised the investment and business environment in Vietnam. They stated that Vietnam is a bright spot in Southeast Asia in terms of socio-economic development and investment attraction. The Prime Minister emphasized 5 very important fundamental factors between the two countries for businesses to continue to cooperate with high trust, success, and efficiency.
Vietnam and India have a good traditional friendship with high political trust, open markets, similar cultures and histories, shared ideas, and shared aspirations for construction and development. These are important factors for the foundation for businesses and investors from both countries to come together and achieve many successes.
The Prime Minister informed investors on Vietnam's outstanding achievements after nearly 40 years of renovation and the fundamental factors and major goals and orientations in national development. He added that Vietnam is promoting the implementation of 3 strategic breakthroughs in institutions, infrastructure, and human resources, based on the foundation of science, technology, and innovation. At the same time, Vietnam is renewing traditional growth drivers and promoting new growth drivers such as the green economy, digital economy, and circular economy. Vietnam is encouraging businesses to expand investment cooperation in areas where India has strengths and Vietnam has demands such as high technology, electronics, semiconductors, artificial intelligence, infrastructure development, renewable energy, new energy, biotechnology, and pharmaceuticals. Witnessing the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding between businesses of the two countries, the Prime Minister asked Indian investors to support Vietnamese businesses to participate in the group's value and supply chain, contributing to Vietnam's efforts to perfect its institutions and policies.
Prime Minister Pham Minh Ching had separate meetings in New Delhi on July the 31st with representatives of leading Indian groups specializing in infrastructure, information technology, and pharmacy, calling on them to invest in big high-tech projects in Vietnam as part of his ongoing state visit to India.
Meeting Gautam Adani, chairman and founder of the Adani Group operating in infrastructure, transport and energy. The Prime Minister lauded the business's operations in Vietnam in recent years as well as its expansion plan in the time ahead. The group is seeking partnerships with Vietnamese firms to build Chu Lai and Long Ton airports and develop a logistics center in Vietnam. On this occasion, the Prime Minister also met representatives from the joint venture of SMS Pharmaceuticals Ltd, BDR Group and Sri Avantika contractors operating in mining, pharmacy, infrastructure and trade, among other fields. The Prime Minister says that this is be a potential project as Vietnam has abundant sources of raw materials for pharmaceutical manufacturing, but the industry is yet to bring its full strength into play, with 33% of the products imported from India alone. Receiving the chairman of the National Industrial Corridor Development Corporation of India, the Prime Minister highly appreciated the corporation's operating model, scale, vision, and role in India's economic and social development, modernization, and industrialization. He commended the corporation for its work in developing strategic infrastructure, creating new development spaces, and adding new values. Next, the Prime Minister met with the chairman of the ONGC Vige Group to discuss crude oil and natural gas. He suggested that the group strengthen partnerships with potential and capable partners in Vietnam, particularly the National Oil and Gas Group, to successfully manage existing projects and launch new projects in oil and gas exploration, extraction, and processing, ensuring high efficiency. Receiving the director of HCL Group, the Prime Minister discussed the potential for collaboration in information technology. He also suggested promoting cooperation in emerging fields such as cloud computing, artificial intelligence, and cybersecurity.
Moving on to other domestic news, National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn has urged expediting the fulfillment of remaining tax and schemes under the action plan of the party delegation to the National Assembly as the 15th legislature goes past its halfway mark. During a working session in Hanoi on July the 31st with the National Assembly's Social Affairs Committee, the National Assembly Committee for Culture and Education, and the National Assembly Standing Committees for Deputy Affairs, he touted upon the significant progress made thus far, with 89 out of 109 tasks, or 81.7% of the action plan already completed. However, with key tasks still ahead, the National Assembly chairman urged close coordination among agencies to tackle several pressing priorities, including drafting the agenda for the National Assembly's 8th session, holding the 6th conference of full-time deputies, and developing plans to issue detailed regulations and guidelines for laws and resolutions. From the 28th to the 30th of July, Professor and Dr. Nguyễn Xuân Thắng, a Politburo member, President of the Ho Chi Minh National Academy of Politics, and Chairman of the Central Theory Council, paid a working visit to the U.S. state of California. At meetings with several California's leaders, he emphasized that upgrading the Vietnam-U.S. relationship to a comprehensive strategic partnership is especially promising in fields such as new technology industries and core technologies, where California has strengths including artificial intelligence, semiconductors, agriculture, energy conversion, and biomedicine. Large enterprises such as Google, Meta, and Synopsys recognized Vietnam's development potential and expressed their desire to invest in projects in Vietnam, in which Vietnam is an important market and partner. Dr. Nguyễn Xuân Thắng urged these businesses to expedite their plans with a special focus on establishing research and development centers, increasing technology transfers, and supporting the training of high-tech human resources. Deputy Prime Minister Trần Lưu Quang on July the 31st emphasized the need for more drastic actions and improved coordination between relevant sides in administrative reform while addressing a Hanoi meeting of the Prime Minister's Working Group and Advisory Council for Administrative Reform. He pointed out to achievements in the first half of this year, including those in decentralization and digitalization in administrative procedures, response to the feedback of businesses and people, and reform in law building. He also noted poor performance of a number of ministries and agencies in this regard, and limitations in coordination between ministries, agencies, and localities in the field. Against the backdrop, the official urged a higher sense of responsibility, saying heads of agencies and localities need to play a more active role in the effort. It was reported that at the meeting that 168 business conditions were cut or streamlined in the first 6 months, raising the total to 2,943 since 2001, helping improve the domestic business environment. Today, August the 1st, the law on land, housing, real estate business, and the law on credit institutions takes effect. These important laws have been passed by the National Assembly, taking effect 5 months earlier than planned, and are expected to create a boost to land resources, contributing positively to socio-economic development. This in the following story.
At Chiu Khúc, Hanoi, in a small alley that only motorbikes can pass through, there are hundreds of multi-story houses and many apartments, also known as mini apartments. From August 1st, when the housing law comes into effect, qualified apartments will be granted pink books. This is good news for many people. From a legal perspective, granting certificates for multi-story houses and many apartments will ensure property rights for people.
Granting pink books will ensure better traffic and a better urban environment. It is reasonable to issue pink books as it helps people with low income. When buildings are divided into mini apartments, they are rented very quickly. It only takes a few weeks to find tenants. This shows that the demand is extremely high. Now that there is a clear process, any mini apartment projects that comply are certain to be recognized and granted pink books, creating conditions for this model to develop.
Along with the land law, the revised housing law, construction law, and credit institutions law also take effect. It is expected that legal frameworks that better meet practical requirements will clear many economic bottlenecks as well as better address social needs.
The sooner it is put into practice, the more conditions and legal tools government agencies at all levels have to resolve and remove current difficulties so that people can benefit early and grassroots government agencies can use the legal tools that the National Assembly has passed.
This is a demonstration of the government's great efforts and determination. Personally, I consider this a bright spot in our country's institutional building work in 2024. The fact that we promulgate regulations that come into effect early has many implications for the socio-economy and the rights of people and businesses.
The land law, housing law, real estate business law, and the amended law on credit institutions are important laws that have an impact on many people and many sectors. The introductions of these laws from August 1st is expected to create a boost to help liberate land resources, resolve many long-standing problems in the real estate and social housing market, and ensure the rights of the state, people, and businesses.
Coming up next, free trade agreements open doors to major markets for Vietnamese industries. And promoting the values of world heritages.
When it comes to business, it's crucial to choose a smart location with global impact. And Vietnam might just be the location for you. Connect worldwide to advanced logistics networks. Smart hub for technology and innovation. A dynamic business ecosystem. An environment with a competitive edge.
Welcome back to VTV News. August the 1st marks 4 years since the Vietnam-Europe Free Trade Agreement, or EVFTA, went into force. The landmark agreement has served as a catalyst for trade and investment between the EU and Vietnam. The European Chamber of Commerce in Vietnam, or EuroCham, released the Business Confidence Index, or BCI, survey conducted by Decision Lab, which shows that EVFTA has opened the door for European businesses to enter the potential Vietnamese market. The EVFTA has also significantly boosted Vietnam's exports to Europe, surging from 35 billion euros in 2019 to over 48 billion euros in 2023, with growth particularly pronounced in sectors such as electronics, textiles, footwear, agriculture, and seafood. The EU, already a major investor in the country, has poured 28 billion euros into 2,450 projects, underscoring its continued confidence in Vietnam's potential. Therefore, as Vietnam enters the 5th year of the EVFTA, it is crucial to continue efforts to simplify procedures, standardize regulations, and ensure that all stakeholders are aware of and effectively utilizing the benefits of this agreement. So far this year, the total export turnover of agricultural, forestry, and fishery products reached more than $34.3 billion. It was an increase of 18.8% compared to the same period last year. This is a positive result of the free trade agreements, or FTAs. Taking advantage of FTAs will boost the agricultural sector to soon achieve the export target of $55 billion this year.
This company's wood exports volume has increased by 15% compared to last year. They sell about 80 containers each month. By taking advantage of tariff incentives from new generation free trade agreements, the company has proactively accessed new markets with high demand for industrial wood products.
India has emerged as a potential new market. The Japanese market also holds great potential for us. The global wood market at the end of the year is likely to outgrow the first months of this year.
Vietnam has signed free trade agreements with more than 60 markets, including major economies such as China, the European Union, South Korea, Japan, and the UK. These opened many doors for Vietnamese agricultural products. The Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership and the EU-Vietnam Free Trade Agreement have helped Vietnam's agricultural and food export turnover reach a double-digit growth rate.
Companies should continue to take advantage of free trade agreements. They must diversify markets and increase output.
Vietnamese companies must flexibly meet high technical barriers and mandatory green standards from many importing countries.
The EU has issued many regulations related to the environment and labor, which require Vietnamese enterprises to regularly adapt and maintain systematic production.
High transportation costs are also an obstacle to agricultural exports. Flexibility and the increased use of FTA incentives are solutions that the Ministry of Industry and Trade recommends to businesses to minimize the impact on export activities.
Now, floods continue to occur in the mountainous and midland areas of the north, causing significant difficulties for residents. In Thái Nguyên province, heavy rain has continuously poured down in many areas in recent days, causing many losses in human lives and property. Some roads have been eroded and cut off.
In Định Hóa District, Thái Nguyên Province, heavy rain caused one person to be swept away by water. The Ho Chi Minh Road and National Highway 3C through Trung Hội and Phú Tiến communes were eroded and flooded. The most serious landslide was at Saw Pass, with 1,000 cubic meters of soil and rocks sliding down the road, making it impossible for vehicles to pass.
The rain that has lasted until today has caused mud to slide down from above into the family's living area, which is very dangerous.
With the weather still very complicated, the risk of landslide in Định Hóa District is very high. Local authorities are actively clearing landslides on National Highway 3C. In addition, preparation for areas to dump soil and rocks debris from the landslides are also being urgently implemented.
There are 1,011 high-risk landslide locations in the province. We have developed response plans and absolutely ensured the safety of people.
Currently, the water level of Go River through NGUYEN City is rising to alert level 2. The flood caused 178 houses and more than 1,800 hectares of rice and crops to be flooded and damaged many livestock, poultry, and aquatic products.
A memorial service for the heroic martyrs of the Vietnam People's Navy who sacrificed their lives in the first victory on the 2nd and 5th of August 1964 was held on July the 31st at the Giang River relic site in Quảng Bình province. 60 years ago, the Vietnam People's Navy, alongside the defense forces, heroically fought back against the enemy's airstrikes, shooting down 8 aircrafts. These dates became a proud milestone in the history of a Vietnam people's resistance war against the United States, marking the first victory of the Vietnam People's Navy. UNESCO has approved Vietnam's proposal for the research, conservation, and development of the World Heritage Site of Thăng Long Imperial Citadel. Vietnam continues to promote the value of culture and history globally, turning heritage into a driving force for sustainable development.
Archaeological excavations in the main space of King Thien Palace at the center of Thăng Long Imperial Citadel reveal a large part of the Danji courtyard, where hundreds of Mandarins attended the Great Dynasty ceremony and the Royal Road. The vision of promoting the heritage approved by the UNESCO opens a new chapter for this particularly important World Cultural Heritage Site.
This is also one of the documents in which for the first time a member country proposed a direction for preserving and restoring a heritage site. It creates a future vision for the Thăng Long Imperial Citadel.
The real spirit of Thăng Long and its history for the people of Vietnam was done in conformity with the World Heritage.
Today, Vietnam has 65 UNESCO titles and is in the top 10 in the world in terms of recognized heritage sites. Hue, a city of one destination, 7 heritages. Ninh Bình strives to become a Millennium Heritage City. Hội An is a national tourist city, demonstrating the vision of localities in utilizing the value of heritage titles.
We have caught up with the development trend of humanity, in accordance with UNESCO's strategic vision.
Vietnam is currently one of the 11 countries selected by UNESCO to pilot the development of a set of cultural indicators associated with the implementation of Sustainable Development Goals. Balancing conservation and development, heritage will become an endogenous strength and enhance national soft power.
Coming up next in our world news. Middle East on knife edge after assassination of Hamas leader in Iran. And rain hampers rescue work in India's Kerala. The conflict in the Middle East is facing unpredictable turns after the leader of the Hamas force was assassinated in the Iranian capital Tehran on Tuesday morning local time. The Hamas force has issued a statement vowing to avenge the death of its leader. Iran also emphasized that whoever committed the assassination right on the territory of its country will receive a proportionate response. Iranian media said that Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh was assassinated by a guided bullet airstrike on Mr. Haniyeh's residence in the north of Tehran. The Hamas force has accused Israel of being behind the assassination, while Israel has not issued any statement denying or confirming its involvement. Iran's National Security and Foreign Affairs Council convened an emergency meeting and issued a statement saying the perpetrators of the assassination would receive a befitting response. Meanwhile, the Iranian president also issued a statement pledging to protect Iran's territorial integrity, honor, and pride. Hundreds of rescue workers and soldiers searched through mud and debris for a second day after multiple landslides hit a hilly district in India's southern state. Indian officials on Wednesday announced nearly 1,000 people have been rescued and 225 are still missing. The death toll has now reached 166 and is expected to rise. The Indian Army is trying to overcome the consequences of the landslide and rebuild roads that were cut off by the landslide. Heavy rains lasting 2 weeks in Kerala, one of the most popular tourist destinations in India, have led to landslides at night while people were asleep. This is the worst landslide disaster in Kerala in the past 6 years. A key meeting of the Communist Party of China pledged on Tuesday to step up macroeconomic support in the second half of this year with greater focus on expanding domestic demand, cultivating emerging sectors, and opening up a bid to meet the nation's annual growth target for 2024. In the last months of the year, China continues to make the most of monetary policy tools to pump cheap capital to support the real economy. It is accelerating the issuance of special bonds to support growth drivers. Policymakers requested the removal of all market access restrictions for foreign investment in the manufacturing sector and promoting trials and demonstrations for expanding opening up of the service sector. Regarding the real estate sector, the meeting stressed efforts to ensure the delivery of housing projects and accelerate the development of a new model for the sector. To boost domestic consumption, they also said economic policy should focus on increasing the incomes of residents through multiple channels. Paris, the world-famous city of light, is the host of the 2024 Olympics. The French capital not only impresses with its classical architecture and magnificent boulevards, but also with the charm of the Seine River. Cruising on the Seine River is increasingly popular experience when visiting Paris. Visitors have the opportunity to see the city from a different perspective while enjoying parties on the boat. Join us in the following journey to the City of Light.
For many tourists visiting the French capital, a cruise on the Seine is a must. This group of tourists from Thailand booked a private cruise to tour the Seine. The boat took them through the city's riverside landmarks. They saw the Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, and even the Notre Dame Cathedral, which is still under renovation. And of course, no tourist would want to miss out on snapping photos with the famous landmarks in Paris.
I think our favorite part is just right here, by the Eiffel Tower. I think if you go around the city, I think this is like the most iconic view of the city.
The gentle and serene Seine River was recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site in 1991. The Seine River has long been a source of inspiration for countless works of poetry, music, and paintings.
It's the most beautiful avenue in Paris, I think, the Seine River. So, the Seine is the place where people are very, very good, very nice.
In addition to modern boats, many tourists choose to travel on antique boats. This boat was built in Venice in the 1960s. The demand for private tours on the Seine has skyrocketed in recent years.
When I started this company 13 years ago, there were only 5 little boats on the river. When I say little boats, it means less than 20 people on board.
A cruise along the Seine offers more than just beautiful views. It's a journey through the cultural heart of Paris.
And now let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's it for this edition of VTV News. Thank you very much for watching. To rewatch our program, you can download VTVgo or tune in our YouTube channel. See you again at 3 p.m. local time. Goodbye for now.